Hello and welcome to the world today. I am Adeshawa Josh. Let's take you through major headlines around the world at this hour. 7 men have received different jail sentences for sexually assaulting women in Cairo last month. The women were attacked during celebrations following President Fattah al-Sisi's election. At least 9 incidents of mob sexual assaults and harassment in and around Cairo's Tahrir Square were documented between the 3rd and the 8th of June during the celebrations. In one case in particular, a video emerged of a 42-year-old woman being stripped naked by a mob, stripping over a large canister of hot water before falling to the ground and being sexually assaulted. She later emerged naked and covered in blood, being helped towards an ambulance by a policeman. The court sentenced one of the men to life in prison and 7 others bagged sentences of between 2 to 20 years. Now, this story is particularly interesting because it is the first time Egypt has taken such action against sexual assault. Now, let's take a look at another kind of abuse, child abuse to be exact. Mexican police have rescued more than 450 children whom they believe were abused at a children's home in Zamora in the western state of Michoacan. They were allegedly subject to sexual abuse and forced to beg on the streets. The owner, Rosadel Carmen Verdecho, as well as 8 employees at the house of the big family have also been arrested. It is considered to be one of Mexico's worst incidents of alleged child abuse at a children's institution in many years. Well, speaking of child abuse, 660 suspected pedophiles have been arrested as part of a 6-month operation targeting people accessing child abuse images online. The National Crime Agency, NCA, confirmed that 660 arrested includes doctors, teachers, scout leaders, care workers, and even former police officers. As a result, more than 400 children have been protected and 39 of those arrested are registered sex offenders. Child protection experts have praised the arrest but warned they were the tip of an iceberg. Arrests were made across the UK and the majority of those held had no previous contact with the police. It is very important to note that none of those arrested are serving or former members of parliament or member of the government. 2 other stories now. Israel is preparing more airstrikes in greater magnitude against Hamas in Gaza, but it is taking steps to try to reduce the number of resulting casualties, they say. Well, the government has been distributing flyers and recorded voice text messages to residents in the east and north of Gaza to evacuate. Now, Palestine says 211 people have been killed since the offensive began last Tuesday, including 10 killed overnight and 4 children who died today. Israel's recorded casualty has been of 1 man killed by a mortar shell fired from Gaza near the northern border with Israel.
Gazans woke up this morning amid rubble and debris caused by overnight Israeli airstrikes. Israel resumed its airstrikes in the Gaza Strip 24 hours after holding its fire in deference to an Egyptian proposed ceasefire deal that failed to get Hamas militants to halt rocket attacks. Attacks in the Gaza Strip killed at least 7 Palestinians today and destroyed the house of Mahmoud Zahar in the first apparent targeting of a top Hamas political leader. There have been mixed feelings concerning the Gaza attack. Some are in support of it and some against it, while some are caught in the middle.
Unfortunately, it's a 2-pronged trapping. They have leadership that is committed to resistance and violence, and therefore their actions are mostly about how do we get new and better missiles to launch them at Israel instead of saying, hey, let's try to figure out how we're going to help make your lives better. And when I negotiated the ceasefire in November of 2012, it was right on the brink of Israel once again invading Gaza because of the rockets. And so I flew from Cambodia, where I was with the president, to try to see what I could do. And, you know, the Israelis are absolutely right in saying that they can't just sit there and let rockets rain down. They have a missile defense system which is working well, but, you know, that can't be certain. And now there are drones, apparently, that are being launched from Gaza.
Authorized by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's security cabinet to escalate an 8-day-old offensive, the military said it had sent out evacuation warnings in northeastern Gaza. The conflict is taking its toll, not just on lives, but on Gaza's already run-down infrastructure. The international community of the Red Cross is warning the whole population faces a desperate water shortage within days.
Water is a problem, and it can quickly turn out into a catastrophe. We do have hundreds of thousands of people without water in Gaza. So water repair have been conducted in very difficult conditions. Water engineers have been killed, and this obviously hampered a lot the work.
The ICRC also confirmed that 90 million liters of it is flowing into the sea daily because there's no electricity to treat it. With the collapse of an Egyptian proposed truce on Tuesday, there seems little hope of an end anytime soon.
In the meantime, Russia is facing criticism from Germany for failing to meet commitments to end the violence in Ukraine. And as a result, there might be further EU sanctions in the works for Russia. The warning follows talks between Chancellor Angela Merkel, US President Barack Obama, and Ukraine's President Petro Poroshenko. A spokesman for Mrs. Merkel said all three were disappointed by Russia's failure to act. Meanwhile, Ukrainian officials said 6 soldiers died in Ukraine overnight. Russia annexed Crimea from Ukraine in March and has been accused of fanning the rebellion in the eastern regions of Donetsk and Luhansk. More than 1,000 civilians and combatants have been killed since mid-April when Ukrainian security forces moved to regain control of the eastern regions, while tens of thousands of people have left the region also. A Dutch court has laid the blame for the over 300 Bosnian men and boys that were killed in the 1995 genocide at the feet of Dutch peacekeepers, in whose protection they were. About 5,000 Bosniaks, mostly women and children, had been sheltering with Dutch UN peacekeepers. The Hague District Court said that Dutch peacekeeping forces, Dutchbat, did not do enough to protect more than 300 of the Bosniaks and should have been aware of the potential for genocide to be committed. Well, just so you get a clearer picture of how terrible the incident was at the time, here's a report on how thousands of mourners gathered at the Memorial Center in Potokari on Friday, July the 11th, to bury another 175 victims of the 19th anniversary of the 1995 Srebrenica massacre.
The 175 coffins draped in green cloth were passed from hand to hand down lines of Bosnian Muslim men to be interred at the Memorial Center's cemetery, a forest of white marble and wooden gravestones that now number more than 6,000. Some 8,000 Muslim men and boys were killed by Bosnian Serb forces in 5 summer days in 1990.